For the Life of Laetitia by Merle Hodge, Chapter 5. Ma agreed to let my father come for me 1 week before school opened. Uncle Leroy said, however, that I wasn't going anywhere unless I cleaned up my garden. He promised to take care of it for me while I was away, but only if I left it in a fit condition, not one single weed, and all the plants neatly molded. So I got up very early the day before I left to weed and mold. Charlene, Ruth, and Kenwin woke up too and came out with me. It was so early that the chickens were only just stirring in the gopher tree, coming to life one by one. Every now and then there would be a little fluttering and squawking, and a fowl would suddenly drop out of the tree with a thud, like a breadfruit. It would sit in a daze for a while, then shake its feathers and walk off with its wings raised as if to let in the air of the new day through all its pores. Uncle Leroy was already down in the big garden. He was cutlassing an area to plant out some yam cuttings and planting suckers, and as I worked, I could hear the steady swish, swish of the swiper from down behind the starch mango tree. Uncle Leroy said it was a very good thing that I was going to live somewhere else, for the way that Carlyle and I were eating these days, he would have to plant up the whole of the land in order to feed the two of us. The little children helped with all their might for 10 minutes or so. They pulled a few weeds and then set off to see what Uncle was doing. His daughter, Charlene, called him Uncle too, like all the other children. They would go and squat at a safe distance from the range of the swiper, among the dogs and puppies who always gathered nearby, and asked him questions in a steady stream. Uncle would stop working every few minutes to answer until he had enough and chased them away. It wasn't long before the children came cheerfully bouncing up the track once more, holding hands like three blind mice, with a train of dogs and puppies behind them. Next, they headed for the plum tree to pick all the ripe plums they could reach. I would have to make sure that I visited the tree too before Carlyle came out to clean the pig pen and feed the pigs. The plums were only just coming in, and after Carlyle made his raid, there would be no point looking for any. After some time, Uncle Leroy came up to inspect my garden. "All right," he said. "How this plantation going? Ready for the big harvest?" Uncle Leroy always made fun of my little plot. He called me the Minister of Agriculture and said he was saving up to buy me a combine harvester for my birthday. I made a face. "But you have to harvest, Farmer Lacey. You have to carry some of your produce for your father." There was not much in my garden that could call produce. I had planted pigeon peas on Corpus Christi, and they had sprouted and grown very nicely. But they were still just pretty young plants that would not bear before Christmas. The bargee and pumpkin vine were flourishing. There were about 3 flowers along the pumpkin vine, still sheltering under leaves. Then I had okras. They were small and misshapen, twisted as they were in pain, but still they were okras. "I could carry okras and bhaji," I said. Uncle Leroy looked doubtful. "Okra maybe, but you think those people does eat bhaji? That is poor people food, you know. High caste people does eat something named spinach. It's the same thing, but spinach come from America. Bhaji is just bush that grow in my backyard." I picked some of my twisted okras, and Uncle Leroy later packed them into a box with other vegetables from the big garden. Some of Ma's sugar cakes and tamarind balls, and some big brown eggs, the best kind. Uncle Leroy had said that my garden looked good enough, so I took up the hoe and fork and went to the shed to put them away. A strong smell of coffee was in the air. Ma and Pappy were out in the kitchen making breakfast. They were talking in their humming, unhurried way, like a light, steady shower of rain on the roof. All my life, for as far back as I could remember, that was how the big people in the house had talked together, especially at night when the children were already in bed. Ma, Pappy, Uncle Leroy, my mother, and Uncle Jamesie would sit in the gallery and chat, or they would talk to each other through the partitions. My mother in the big bed with us, Ma and Pappy in their bedroom, and the uncles out in the drawing room, for that was where they used to sleep when I was little. Listening to their voices at night always made me pleasantly drowsy, and I would fall asleep cradled in their conversation. Now, as I heard their chattering coming from the kitchen, I felt the same sweet drowsiness come over me, and the world felt good and safe.